Now we're coming out of Tisha B'Av. Now we're trying to take a message with us to remember for the rest of the year. Of course, we all should try, diminish, stop speaking Lashon Hara nicely from one to another, be there for another, feel for another. What about imagining what it was like to live with a temple, and that is what we are missing nowadays. It's very hard for us to imagine what we're missing if you never had it. It's like explaining to somebody when you're eating a chocolate bar, this tastes so good. The person's looking at you like he doesn't understand why. You can't explain somebody what chocolate tastes like. You could only eat it. It's very hard for us, almost 2,000 years later, to understand what it was to live with a Beit HaMikdash, with a temple, with the miracles. But there's something that we say, and we repeat the theme many times over in our Amidah, which is 3 times a day. We have the Beracha of Bonei Yerushalayim, of rebuilding Yerushalayim. We have the Beracha of Hamachazir Shechinato L'Tzion. Yes, we take one day, we take 25 hours once a year to dedicate, to commemorate, and to take that impression and put it upon our hearts, what it means to not have the Beit HaMikdash. But every single day, every tefillah, we pray for it. Has it become lip service, or do we really mean it? And this is something we can try to take upon ourselves. Yes, of course, today is the day. Now at the final minutes of the fast, our heads are pounding, our stomachs are rumbling, we're frail, some are shaking, our throats are dry, we're thirsty. Does it sound like you? If it does, that's good. It's normal. If we could take this feeling, if we could try to imagine, and if we know good and if not, we could learn about it. What it meant when Bnei Israel, when Eretz Yisrael, when Ir HaKodesh Yerushalayim was built and was in operation, and not only the Jews, by the way, but even the other nations of the world, they would come and they would bring sacrifices. They would come forth, they would bring gifts. And even they, who didn't necessarily believe or worship God, understood the omnipresence and the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Shekhinah reside in Beit HaMikdash. We, at every happy occasion, mention the Churban HaBayit, the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Specifically, if you paid attention, every wedding ceremony, at the end of the ceremony, the Hatan comes, against his will, he's given the mic. If he's lucky, he has a paper in front of him. If not, he has to repeat after the rabbi. אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, תדבק, לשוני לחכי, לא אזכרכי, לא תעלה את ראש שלך עד לא שמחתי. So, every single wedding, we have the Chatan mention that his happiness on the happiest day of his life, as a joke, because it goes downhill from there. No, I'm joking. But still, when he's happy, at the chuppah, they tell him, stop, you can't be too happy. You have to remember that the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed. You know, there was a tradition at the time of the Talmud that they would take ashes, they would take some papers and some stuff, they would burn them, and they used to put it on the forehead, where tefillin go, of the Hatan at his chuppah, just to remind him that the Beit HaMikdash is burnt and it's not rebuilt yet, that the happiness is not complete. This is not the only time that we remember in a physical way the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Also, when a person builds a new house, you're supposed to leave an unfinished part. Now, anybody in everybody will say, well, the house is never finished, because once you finish, if you start from the left side of the house, by the time you get to the right side of the house, you got to redo the left. And if you start from up, you go down. By the time you're finished down, you got to redo up. It's never done. But still, something which is noticeable to all. Because when I walk into your house, everything looks new to me. Because I don't live there every day. I don't know what works. I don't know what doesn't work. But if I walk into your house, and I see you have an unfinished 1.5 by 1.5 square, right when I walk in the house, not only do you remember, but more importantly, even I remember when I walk into your house, it is not finished. Because how can my house be finished when Hashem doesn't even have a house in this world? His house was the Bet HaMikdash. So the Maggid Miduvna asks, he's known for his anecdotes and his parables, he asks, why is it that every happy occasion, after you finish building a house, at your wedding, you're so happy? No, you have to remember that the Bet HaMikdash is destroyed. Why? He gives the parable of an individual who was looking to move into a new city. Moves into the new city, and the community and the members, they didn't like the individual too much. No, sinat chinam. They didn't do right. But it was the fact. And they didn't welcome him. And they really didn't want him to feel welcome, so this way he could go back to where he came from. They had a problem. They couldn't tell him, get lost, because this individual's close relative was the mayor of the city. They couldn't do it. So what they did was they all made an agreement between each other that nobody is going to sell this new individual, this newcomer. They're not going to sell him any house. And they're not going to sell him any land to build a house even. So the man's going knocking door to door. Can you sell me your house? No, not for sale, not for sale, not for sale. Can you sell me land? You have a very large front yard. Can I buy your front yard? I can build myself a house. Not for sale, not for sale, not for sale. So what did he do? He really wanted to live there. He found in between two mountains an empty spot. He didn't see any sign, no trespassing. He didn't see any fence. He was observing it for a couple days, couple weeks. There was nobody who claimed that land, so he said, this is going to be the place where I build my home. And so it was. He goes and he builds. He builds a beautiful home. And as he was building, every single community member that walked by was smirking and laughing and giggling, but no one would talk to him. And this would go on for days, weeks, months, till finally the house was built. And another community member was walking by, he was giggling and smirking. So the owner of the new house, he pulled him aside and he told him, you have to explain to me why you're laughing at me. What's so amusing? Maybe I want to laugh too. Told him, no, don't worry. He told him, is something lacking in this house? Is this not the grandest, the greatest, the most beautiful house in the whole city? He tells him, you're really right, it really is. So what's so funny? He tells him, my dear friend, I hate to break to you the bad news, but it's the winter time now. And yes, you found yourself a perfect place to build your house. But your house is sitting on top of a frozen river. And very soon, when the season changes, that river is going to defrost, and your house will crumble down in shambles and be washed away in the water. This is the mashal Maggid Miduvna says. The nimshal, the lesson to each and every one of us is, this world, we have happy times. We have success. We go and we achieve milestones. New children, new home. Before that, a new wife, right? And we have very happy times in our life. But all of that happiness, all of that success, even in a family way, and all the more so in a physical and a material way, are all incomplete. They are not stable. They're as if a house built on a frozen river. It's not everlasting. And that's why the Maggid Miduvna says, every single time we have a happy opportunity, we need to remember that we are still incomplete, that the happiness is incomplete in this world until the Beit HaMikdash is rebuilt. We said, right now at the end of Mincha, the Mizmor, right before we said Alenu Shebech, we say the famous words that David HaMelech wrote, Az Yemale Sehok Pinu Ulshonenu Rina. Then we will fill our mouths with joy and song and praise. You know when that's talking about? That's talking about during the Mashiach. That's when the third Beit HaMikdash is back. That's when the Shekhinah, Kadosh Baruch Hu, is revealed to us in an open way. Until then, we cannot smile fully. We cannot be completely happy. There's something missing. There's a chip on our shoulder. There's a bag with a stone on it weighing down ourselves because it's not complete until we have it. And this is something we can learn from this year's Tisha B'Av. Every Amidah, many times in the Amidah, we allude to our incompleteness, the fact that we are lacking the Beit HaMikdash. It's something big. It's something that, unfortunately, we only pay enough attention to during the 3 weeks, and specifically on Tisha B'Av. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu take all of these feelings of suffering and pain and hunger and thirst and headache that we have now, and take that, whatever amount of suffering it is for each and every one of us. I'm sure for our wives it's a lot harder. For our mitzvah boys, recently our bar mitzvah, it's also a lot harder. But each and every one of us, it's something uncomfortable that we're going through right now. May we, as the Tefillah tells us, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu take all of the fats and blood that we lost today from not eating, and let Him take that and place that on the Mizbeach, on the altar, as if our fasting today is a korban, is a sacrifice. We don't have an altar to bring a sacrifice on. We don't have that Beit HaMikdash. By the way, that's why we have a couple fasts during the year. They are all related to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash and the fact that we are lacking it. So time and time again, spread out through the year, we fast in order to take what we have. We can't take our animal to the temple. We can take ourselves to God. We can take the fat and the blood that we lost through fasting today, gather it up, and bring it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the Mizbeach. May He accept our teshuvah, may He accept our fast, accept our sacrifice, and that Hashem, next year this time, if not before, we'll all be dancing and rejoicing in the third Beit HaMikdash, due to our tefillot as well as the rest of Bnei Israel's. All together, Amen v'Amen.